Okay, I'm live and I'm answering another question, and I'll just get right on it. It was written by Elizabeth, and here's what she wrote. This was from, I think, yesterday when I posted on a Facebook Live asking what kind of help I could give. So, this is what she said. She said, Kathy, thanks for this. It's such an odd time. We have adult kids at home now, the results of college closures. We are set, but struggling with young adults who want to socialize and are not interested in keeping up with laundry or dishes, as in not loading their plates and things into, not shuffling laundry. They can't spend time with friends who are home for the remainder of the semester, many of whom have really young siblings. We have to maintain some semblance of order, and I would love your guidance in putting a system in place. Thanks. Don't forget you're green today. And that's because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. So that was Elizabeth Murray Vittori who asked that question. And I'll try to tag you in it, Elizabeth, so that you know that I did this in response to that. Okay, so coming from somebody who is in that situation and has been for a while, because my daughter moved in to the house that we're living in, and when she did, the house was way, like, now it's in repair, but it's completely livable now. When she first moved in, we were in the throes of tearing apart the kitchen. The place was really it was like, it looked like a Amityville horror set. It was that bad. And she moved in with her little newborn and her 5-year-old. Now, fast forward a while, and I'm here with my boyfriend. He's my husband. I used to be married to him. We're divorced, so I don't know what to call him. Every time I say my boyfriend, it feels so weird. Anyway, so I'm with George, okay? So I'm here with George and my daughter and her two little children. And then her boyfriend moved in, because Emily moved in here because the place they were living in before was being renovated. So it was impossible to live there with the baby because of just all of the dust and all of that kind of stuff that was there. So she moved in, and then eventually they decided just to both live here. So now I have me, her boyfriend, whose name is Eric, Emily, the two little kids, George, who was laid off at the time, and me, and Eric was on unemployment. So I absolutely have a lot of answers for you, for anybody that's at home, and so is everybody else, okay? Now, one thing that we did that was a lifesaver, and I learned this from living with my sister, because I lived with my sister and my brother-in-law for a while I was in transition of, I don't know where I'm going to live now after I moved out of an apartment that I had down the shore, right? I lived with them for about a year and a half. One of the things we did in that house was we shared making dinner. Everybody had a dinner time, a dinner night. So I said, after being here for a while, I didn't do that with, the family that I'm in here. I was cooking every night. And I said, you know what? Every adult here could take a night for dinner. That is a lifesaver, a lifesaver. Wonderful, wonderful thing. Anybody who is adult enough to cook dinner needs to take a night. Now, what we do is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we're on our own. So, I mean, that kind of won't work really great when you have little kids that kind of have to feed themselves and stuff like that. But you can manage it. You can figure it out, okay? You could do it Monday to Friday if you want to. And then the weekends is just like leftovers, that kind of thing, right? Now, planning is a big deal, right? Planning your meals will have to happen, especially if you're the one responsible for making sure all the food is in the house. Now, when it comes to Emily and Eric and it's their night, they get the food. They go food shopping, they get what they're going to have for that night, but you may not have it that way. It might be that your kids are all in college, or they're in high school, or you have younger kids, right? And you know, if of course, if you're living with people that can't cook, this isn't going to work for you. But we'll talk about that the next thing as far as dinner is concerned, okay? So we're just pretending here that you have adult people that could live there. I mean, that can cook dinner, all right? So now I do Monday nights. Done? Okay, Monday night's done. Tuesday, Eric does Tuesday. That's Emily's boyfriend. Wednesday, George does it. Now, what George does is he orders pizza, right? That's what he does. He orders a pizza. He orders some sandwiches. Bada boom, done. I don't care how you get the dinner here. Just get the dinner here, right? So George does pizza, and then Monday, Tuesday, and then it's Emily's turn, right? And then Friday, like I said, we're on our own. So generally what happens is we food shop so that there's always leftovers. So then Friday, we'll either have leftovers or maybe I'll want to cook, right? Maybe I'll be like, you know, and I'm going to do that this week. I have a whole bunch of stuff to make ratatouille. So I'm going to make ratatouille on Friday. And whoever wants it, wants it. In the meantime, there's leftovers. There's eggs. There's, you know, it's not like, it's like, well, screw you if you're hungry. I'm having my sandwich. It's not like that. It's just kind of like a more relaxed time. Do what you want on those days. But you could determine how you want that to go. But sharing the night to make dinner, imperative, okay? Now, after dinner, big deal, all right? And some of this is going to have to be communicated, right? Have a family meeting. But make sure you say like, okay, listen, I'm going to, whatever it is that they love the most. If they like ice cream, if they love to play board games, you know, say, we're going to play categories. I'm going to have ice cream. Everybody's going to have a pint of Haagen-Dazs themselves, and we're going to have a little family meeting. Make it something that they want to show up for, okay? So do that, and then talk about what are we going to do here. And you know what? There's no negotiation. If they're going to be like, oh my God, really, Mom? Yeah, yes. Like there's no negotiation here. We're all under one roof for a period of time, and I am not going to be the slave of the house. I'd like this to be the best it could be. We all live here. Everybody wants it to be nice. Everybody wants to feel good. This is what we're doing. Be as positive as you can about it, right? And then realize that you're the one that's going to have to be the coordinator, right? You don't have to do all the work, but you have to be the manager of it. Somebody's got to take charge. So just put that hat on, okay? So here's what's going to be after dinner, right? After dinner, nobody just gets done eating and leaves, right? If you ate, you have to contribute in cleaning up. Now, what we do is the person that cooked gets kind of like a free pass. They take care of whatever pots they use and pans they use. Okay, they clean up after themselves from cooking. They don't have to wipe the stove down, right? They don't have to wipe the counter down. But like in a general way, take care of their mess from cooking, okay? Also, every person, regardless of if they made dinner or not, every person takes care of their own place setting. Cup, fork, glass, spoon, knife, dish, napkin, right, spot that they sat in, okay? They take care of their own place setting. So that either gets washed and put in the drain or, you know, scraped off and put in the dishwasher. If you have a guest, you are responsible for that guest. Now, you can either tell your guest, time for you, you know, you need to clean up after yourself, or you clean up after them. And this goes for adults too. If mom and dad have a guest over, then mom and dad are responsible for whoever guest that is, okay? So there's that. Now, there's other things that have to get cleaned up from dinner, right? The floor needs to get swept. The counters need to get wiped down. All of the extra dishes have to be done, like any serving things, any bowls that were used, something like that. The stove top has to get wiped off. So you could do this in two ways and talk about it with them, okay? How are we going to do dinner time cleanup? All right, this is what I'm thinking. And then give them your view and then see what they have to say. Let them be a part of it. So one way you could go with that is that nobody leaves the room except for the cook. The cook can leave the room after they take care of their own little stuff, right? Nobody leaves the room until it's all done. So everybody chips in. Table gets, cleared off completely. Table gets wiped down. Floor gets swept. Counter gets done. Everybody moves like busy bees, right? Or you could decide what I did when my kids were smaller and we had dinner time. After what we did after dinner time was exactly what I said before. Everybody takes care of their own place setting, their own dish, glass, spoon, knife, all of that. Everybody takes care of their own dish, place setting. But then each person gets a job per week, not every other day, because that's not fair. Because if one day you decide to go out to eat, which of course isn't happening right now, but in the regular, if one day you decide to get takeout, there's very little that has to get cleaned up, right? Or let's say one day, and it's not the crazy time we're in right now, and you're out that night, then that person that had the dishes doesn't have the dishes, right? So it's not fair. It's fair to have a whole week. So you say, okay, this week I have the dishes, you have the table, you have the counter, you have the floor, depending on how many people you have in the house. And if you have less people, you divide it up even more, right? Okay, you have the floor and counter, you have the table and dishes, see what I mean? So, or you could decide to do it just like I said. Everybody just pitches in until it's done. So that's dinner, all right? Um, as far as like everybody picking up after themselves, like Elizabeth said, they're not picking up after themselves. They're not, putting their dishes in the sink, all of that. The tagging game. I learned this from Pam Young and Peggy Jones, author of Sidetracked Home Executives. And it is a amazing thing. I've been doing it for years and it works like a charm. You have to be somebody that is willing to give an allowance, though, to anybody that doesn't have a job. But let me tell you, it is worth its weight in a cleaning person, okay? What it does is it takes care of all of that unconscious clutter, including your own. You'll be surprised at how much you leave out too, right? So here's how the tagging game works. Everybody has to be on board with this, and you tell them the rules. There has to be clear rules, or there could be a lot of fighting, all right? So everybody has their own stuff, and you have to put away your stuff immediately. So if you're playing a game and you're done with that game, before you leave the room, you pick up that game. Now, if that person leaves the room, they get a shot. So say Jimmy left the room. Johnny says, Jimmy, your game, you left it out. You got one shot to put it away. Jimmy says, I ain't doing it. All right. And he sits on the couch. All right. Kind of stinks a little bit that now Johnny cleans it up. Or let's say Jimmy just says, okay, I'll get at it. And then he gets distracted and he still doesn't do it. Well, Johnny waits a little bit of time, then he cleans it up. Now, why would Johnny clean up Jimmy's mess? Because he now fines Jimmy, say 25 cents or 10 cents. Believe me, 10 cents, it really does add up. The amount because he left out a game. All right. Now, if he is eating something and it's cereal, a cereal bowl, a spoon, and milk, that's 4 items. That would be $1 if it's a quarter each, and it would be 40 cents if it's a dime each, right? So you write down, and on a piece of paper, you have everybody's name in the family and columns, right? So now Johnny just tagged Billy, was it Billy? Whatever his name is, Jimmy. Johnny just tagged Jimmy for the game. So he has the game pieces, and maybe the box, right? Because there's a bunch of shit you have to put together, right? So there, he did that. He marks them. He's 30 cents or 75 cents based on however much you charge. But you have to write what it is. You can't just say, Jimmy 50 cents, because then you're going to have fighting. What did I do? I didn't do anything. You have to just write it down, all right? Glass, spoon, knife, fork, right? $1, and you put it on there. Okay, so now Friday to Friday. Friday comes, and you get out that tagging sheet, and you mark, you tally it all up, all right? Mommy was charged $2. Daddy was charged $2.50. Jimmy was charged $4, and Johnny was charged $2. Well, guess what? Johnny wins. And everybody that had a charge gives Johnny the money. So Jimmy was charged $4. He gives Johnny $4. Mommy was charged $2. She gives Johnny $2. So the incentive to clean up after yourself is not to lose and to win the money, right? And the incentive to clean it up is that you get to tag him, right? You get to tag him. This is the same principle that works with like what policemen do with cars on the road. If there's a car abandoned on the side of the road, if we didn't have any kind of penalty for it, that we would have like, cars littered in cities all over the place. Well, you're not allowed to do that. They tag your car. Sometimes they'll put like something on the what I think I'm dating myself with the thing because I don't think we have antennas anymore. But they used to put like a flag on an antenna, or I think what they do now is a sticker on the driver's side window, and they write on it the date and stuff. And if that car is still there after it's been tagged, I think it's like 24, 48 hours, it gets towed. And now whoever owned that car, they got heavy penalties, towing fees, storage fees, and a fine. So people don't like to do that. This is the same principle. Now, what I want to tell you about this is this, all right? I've been doing this a long time. I know how this goes. The first week, nobody is going to pay attention to you. They're going to think it doesn't matter, right? They're going to be like, oh, yeah, right. Another thing mom is into or something like that, right? That's what's going to happen. So you're going to feel frustrated because you might be the one cleaning up everything. Like, John, you left your plate out. Okay, Ma. And then he doesn't do it. Now you clean it up, right? You go downstairs. It's morning. You know that your husband just took off or something like that. And you see his coffee mug or whatever there. And you're like, damn. And now you clean it up, right? So you might find that you're cleaning up a lot of people's stuff, but you're also tagging them. And at the end of the week, when they all have to pay you the money, that's when they get serious. Sometimes it happens in the middle of the week because they're like, what's all this? And you say, well, you owe me $4. He owes me $2. Because I'm winning. Then sometimes in the middle, they get serious, and it can kind of get ruthless, a little bit, like where they're like, you left the newspaper out and there's 120 pages of the newspaper and I'm charging you, like just... you just gotta like narrow it down. It doesn't have to get that bad, right? But sometimes people in families are really competitive, right? But it really, really does work. Now, here's another thing I have to say about this is you have to actually let them see the money, because sometimes we are not very good with our word a lot of times. So we could say, all right, everybody's getting $5 allowance this week, and of course if somebody has a job, you don't give them anything, they pay from their own money, right? So everybody's getting $5 in allowance this week. What you want to do is get 5 singles, $5 bills, put them in an envelope with their name on them on the refrigerator, because it can't be that they're like, oh no, I lost $3. Mom, pay him $3. It won't work. They have to have that money in their little hands, and they have to pay it out. It's their money. You're willing to give them this money, right? What you're kind of doing is you're saying, I appreciate that you are going to keep up with things at home, and here's some money. You give them money anyway, right? We do anyway. So like if there's a movie they want to go to and they have that $5 and they need another 5, you don't give them $10, you give them 5. You already gave them 5, right? It works. If you have a problem with giving them like this little stipend, right? If you have a problem with that, then it's not going to work. They have to be able to have money. It has to be their money. It has to be in their hands, and they have to see that, yes, they're getting this for it to work. I'm telling you, the house, the main living areas, stay clean. Now, you can decide to do that in their bedrooms. I say, especially right now, leave the bedrooms alone, right? It just like it's, how it is, what they say, like pick your battles, right? I would say right now, don't even think about the bedrooms. And then after this trauma is over, then you might want to say, all right, we're going to tag in the bedrooms too, but I'm not going to go in there every day and like tag you. I'm not going to do that to you. Just like I don't want you to go in my bedroom every day and tag me. Because the thing is if you're going to be willing to tag them, they've got to be able to tag you. So you can say, all right, every Friday or every Thursday, it's going to be the bedroom tagging time. So you do what you want in your room during that time, but on Thursday, it's got to be cleaned up, right? Now, you don't have to do that, all right? You can, a lot of people just say, I just shut the door in their room and forget about it. That's really a personal thing. One thing I want to say as a side note to that is this. If you're organizationally gifted and your child is organizationally challenged, telling them go clean their room is like saying go paint a masterpiece. Here's the paint or here's the clay. Go be Leonardo da Vinci. It's not easy, right? Unless you know what to do and how to do it, they're just going to go in the room and stand there like zombies and be like, where do I start? What do I do? So I'll do another video on that, like how to tell your kid to go clean their room without saying go clean their room. So that's another one. All right. So we have dinner covered. We have unconscious clutter being covered. But what happens if the house is all cluttered? What if there's stuff all over the place right now? Well, you can keep everything status quo is what you could do. You could say, all right, listen, I know the place is a wreck, okay? What we can do moving forward is we can work on each room, and Kathy can help us do that. Right? She's more than willing to help us do that. So we can work on each room, and I'll talk to you about that when the time comes, because you have to get your crap together before you can help them get their crap together. But what you can do right now is keep everything status quo. So you say, I don't care how much of a mess the kitchen's in, how many dishes there are to do, how much clothes are on the floor. I don't care all about everything that it is right now. What I care about is what happens right now. So you have to commit that whatever you do now, it's not going to contribute 1 second, one little item to what's going on right now, so that at least everything, as bad as it might be, won't get any worse. This is what it is, right? And then certain things that I suggest is if the house is in disarray or whatever, that you commit to certain things like not going to bed with dishes in the sink, making sure that dinner is cleaned up every single night. Like these, if you're not doing that now, it's only because those are not your standards. Make them your standards. And when you have this family meeting, say that. Say, okay, we haven't been cleaning up after dinner, but that's going to change. There are people out there in the world that would never, ever, 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 not in a billion years, consider walking away from that kitchen with the dishes still there, table still messed up, and the pot still on the stove. There are people out there that it's just, it's unfathomable to them that no, they would never do it. So, and those people that I'm talking about, they have full-time jobs. They have jobs that they drop off infants at daycare and kids at school. They have children in wheelchairs. They have elderly parents that they, have to care for in their homes, traveling. There are people that have extraordinarily challenging situations that don't leave the kitchen with a mess, that commute hours, that go to work late and wake up early, and still they do not leave the kitchen with a mess. So just to let you know, all right, there's no excuse for a mess. Okay, I know it sounds horrible and kind of like unkind a little bit, but please, please, please believe me, I'm not being unkind. I've been there, done that. We're only a mess because of our we're only a mess because of our habits, not because of our circumstances. Once we realize that, so much changes, right? I've been with people I've volunteered to help people with cancer cleaning up their homes, to find that the only thing that had to be done in these homes with people who have been bedridden, who have small children, there's no mess anywhere. All there is bathtub ring and a sink that needs to be cleaned out, vacuuming that needs to be done, floors that need to be washed, tables that need to be dusted, because there wasn't enough energy to do that kind of elbow grease work. But the habits that are formed don't make a messy home. When you're right-brained and you're more creative and less left-brained where you're administrative, we think everything takes too long. We have a warped perception of time, and so we just drop and go. I'll do that later. I'll do that later. I'll do that later. It doesn't take any more time to take that wrapper and put it in the garbage as it does to put it on the counter. It takes maybe about I teach something called counting Mississippis. So that's something you could say during the meeting. You could say, okay, listen, there's going to be times when you feel like I don't have time to do that. So what I want you to do is count Mississippis. And so you say you have a dish, you just got done with a bowl of cereal and you have your spoon, but somebody's outside and you have to go outside or whatever, right? Like somebody's beeping the horn, you got to get out there, or you want to do something and you feel like you don't have the time. Count Mississippis as you're doing it. Wash the dish, wash the spoon, wash the glass, put it in the drain. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. You're going to find out it took 10 Mississippis. It took 10 seconds. 10! Okay? Same thing with laundry, right? We think it takes so long to fold those clothes. It doesn't. We think it does. It doesn't count. You'll get probably about maybe 240 Mississippis. You'll go about 2 minutes, and you're like, holy mackerel, it took 2 minutes to fold these clothes. Now, I do understand that if you have too much stuff in your drawers, that putting away those clothes can be a real drag, and I know that's why a lot of people don't actually fold their clothes and put them away, because there's too much stuff. But we'll deal with that in another video, okay? We'll deal with that in what I talked about earlier when I said, all right, if the place is a mess right now, then how do we keep things status quo? Then we'll just keep things status quo, and we'll talk about, all right, what are we going to do now with the mess? And if you're home and you have your children at home and you say, well, you know what is it that I could do so that at least right now is better than it will be, that when everything is all said and done, things will be better here than they were before, then we can work on that. Let's try to put the silver lining on the cloud. Let's try to make the very best of what we can do so that when all is said and done, we'll say what we normally say when we're faced with really big adversity. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me, right? Most of the time, that's what we say. Or, boy, I learned so much during that time. I wouldn't have given it up for anything. You know, so let's have that mindset here, okay? And then one last thing I want to say before we sign out is think about how amazing it is if you are at home with your family, mandated, all right? We have them under our roof for such a very, very short time. And no matter how old they are, they're still your baby, okay? I mean, I remember feeling like, oh my God, they're getting so big. You know what? And then I got older and I realized, what would I give for my 30-year-old at 18 again? What would I give for my 10-year-old at 6? Because sometimes you see them at 6 and you're like, oh my God, they're so big. No, they're not. They're still a baby. You got a 13-year-old? Oh my God, they're so big. No, they're not. They're still a baby. You know, I have a 40-freaking-year-old daughter. She'll be 40 years old in October, so she's 39, all right? I still want to look at her like, oh my God, you're a baby. Because someday she's going to be 50, right? I mean, eventually we're kind of like evening out and becoming the same age. It kind of happens. But still, whatever you're in right now and whoever you're with that you love and you're living with right now, please see it as the greatest gift you possibly ever could have, because we'll never get that time back again. And I recently talked to my brother John, who, you know, we lived in a house filled with chaos because my mom passed away when I was 5 or 6. and there was 8 of us there, right? 7 actually at the time, 7 of us under one roof in the what, 65 or 67 or something like that, at the height of peace, love, and rock and roll, at the height of Vietnam War, at the height of drugs and all of that craziness that came when the mother was gone, all teenagers at home, and the father went to work at 5 a.m. every morning. It was chaos, okay? I was listening to Paul McCartney the other day, and it was actually the album McCartney, and I'm hearing all of these songs that just brought up all these memories. And I called my brother John, and I said, God, I miss that time. Now, if you could ask me that when I was there, I probably would say, holy mackerel, I wish this would end. But when we're in hindsight, it's a whole different story, right? We used to pick up the phone and actually write on the wall. If somebody said, can Maria call me back at 2, tomorrow, or I need to talk to Maria. All right, she isn't home. And you write, Maria, call Jerry, right? It was a crazy, crazy, crazy time. But over and over everything, there was love. Over everything, there was love. We lived in chaos. We lived in chaos. Before, when my mother was alive, it was like Father Knows Best world. You could eat off the floor, right? After she died, it was more like the Addams family, okay? But even worse, because at least the Addams family was clean. It was chaos. But there was love there. So if you're living at home with your family and it feels chaotic, so what? The memory that they have when all is said and done, if there's love there, is, oh my God, I wish I could go back there. I wish I could go back there and sit across the table from my brother Michael, who I hated at the time. But boy, do I wish I could see his little fat face now. He was fat when we were little. I wish I could be with John. I wish I could be with John again under that roof. I wish I could see my sister Maria rocking on that couch one more time. I wish I could hear her say to me, get out of here, you stupid idiot, right? Because, she was always such a bitch to me, my sister. But I wish, now we're like best friends. I wish I could have that time back. Your kids will too. And so will you. If you're alone, do what you can do. All right? I'm not alone right now because I'm here, but I was alone for about, many years. And you figure it out. Join meetup groups. Make the very most of what you can do. Volunteer. Learn, grow, go to church. Churches are an amazing place to be able to give and receive, right? There's always, always a solution if we'll just look for it, making the very best of what we have. And then, if you could change things, like get it tidy, holy mackerel, you'll be so happy because it makes life easier, But while you're on the road, enjoy the bumps. All right? Being on the road, you're going to hit bumps. You're going to get pitfalls. You're going to fall down. You're going to have hurdles to jump. But what's the alternative to being on the road? It's being on the sideline. You might as well be in purgatory. You might as well not be living. You might as well sleep through your life. So whenever you're hitting those bumps and you're feeling that pain, rejoice and say, this means I'm freaking doing something. This means that I am a participant in my life. It means that I'm going somewhere. That's what it means. And the more you walk and the more you work at it, the less bumps you hit, the less pitfalls you have, the less times you fall, right? But with each time, it's all the meaning that you give it. When you go to the gym and your arms hurt, you don't say, I'm not going back to that gym. It hurt my arm. You manage to realize that the pain you feel is good, right? Pain doesn't have to be bad, right? Hard doesn't have to be bad. It just is. Hard is just hard, not bad. Oh, this is hard. I'm going to quit. Look at it in a different way. Say, oh, this is hard. I'm going to be proud. I'm going to work at this. I'm going to cry. All right. So there's that. I hope it helped. I'm going to look at the comments, and then tomorrow I'll do one on how to clean up a room and I mean, how to tell your kids to clean up their room. And then we'll do something on, a plan to start to get the home dejunked if you need that. Okay? And that would be anything. Okay? So you don't have to be living in a really, really big wreck to need to maybe, go through your garage, go through your pantry, go through your closets. I'm sure a lot of you have clothes from the 80s that you could be either wearing again because they're in style or donating them. All right, so Lisa said, can anyone else hear her? I can't. Well, I hope everybody else can. Maria said, hey, I caught you live. Lisa, sometimes it's just with, a setting. You have to click it, so I'm sorry about that. Olga said, hi, Kathy. Hi, Olga. Steve said, wow, great advice. Thank you so much, Steve. Patricia said, thanks, Kathy. So great that you were doing these videos. Thanks, Patricia. I'm going to cry again. Maureen said, yes, thank you for the encouragement and great advice. You're welcome. Olga also said, you're such a beautiful soul. Oh, God bless you. Lisa, you will be able to hear this. I guess it'll be on the replay. I'm so sorry about it not being able to hear it now. All right. If you put anything in the comments, I'll read them. If you want me to ask anything, just like Elizabeth did and I addressed it, I'll do it for you too. All right. Bye.